neuropsychologist. Joining me, psychotherapist and founder of the Renew Center of Florida and RenewMe, Dr. Lisa Palmer is with us, and still with us, Georgia criminal defense attorney Ryan Brown. Great to have you both with us right now. All right, Dr. Palmer, let me ask you first, neuropsychologist, what does that mean? Is that a different type of expertise here?
Well, in the context of a legal case, it'd be very similar to a biopsychosocial, but when they're evaluating the defendant, they're going to be looking at, all aspects and how it relates specifically legally. And a lot of times when they're doing these kind of evaluations, it's a bit more scientific. And so based on that, they're going to be seeing, what was the intent of the defendant, what it was the, cognitive abilities of the defendant, and how did it affect insight and judgment. And that is going to ultimately affect the turnout of the case. So it is really, really important in this case.
All right, Ryan Brown, what are your thoughts here about the defense getting this neuropsychologist as an expert? What does it tell you? Why are they doing this?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. One, this court, and I practice in this court all the time. This is in my backyard. This judge particularly is going to keep a tight schedule. So the defense definitely had to get ahead of things. And, this is honestly on the quicker end of how quickly you would have an expert in a case probably being able to evaluate someone. But when we're dealing with someone at this age, and where there is at least some hints that there may be evidence of some sort of traumatic or at least a couple, if not more, traumatic events in the past, whether it be witnessing any domestic issues or things that she's been through. We're looking at someone whose age the brain is not completely developed. We may be trying to evaluate from the defense standpoint how someone of her age would react to certain scenarios, how a 17-year-old's brain may process and react differently to someone who's 37 or 47 or even 27, right? Especially when we start talking about the social media stuff. That's been something that both the law enforcement and the court of public opinion has been really focused on is, hey, this is why is she acting this way? Why does she behave this way, right? That is something that an expert can come talk about, right? Is, hey, this is the brain of a 17-year-old. Are they responding how they should respond? Who gets to decide whether someone's TikTok or Instagram is an appropriate response, right? So there's kind of two ways the defense could be going. Is it, hey, we need to focus on the things that were happening online immediately afterwards and whether they were appropriate or not? Do they tend to make it more true that maybe she did this? Or is it, hey, how she responded to things that have happened in the past to her, and could it have made it more or less likely this case that she did this?
Dr. Palmer, how does this evaluation go? How do you get the information?
Right. So one of the things is scanning documents and looking at documents that are out there. So they're going to be talking to different officials. They're going to be looking at her history, everything from, her medical and health history to what's happened in school, to interviews with family members and friends and people who may have known her, to see if she's had some kind of a history, if there's a, documentation of previous records of incidences. They're going to be looking at all of that, and they're going to be doing neurological testing as well, and also seeing if she has a previous, mental health history. So if she had ever been to counseling or had ever had issues regarding, mood instability or substance abuse or, a variety of factors like trauma and how trauma can affect somebody, and if there's any dissociation there, if she's had any instances of that, what her emotional regulation is, what's her memory, and how all of these factors will play a part in sort of the design of this person mentally. And then that's going to help to paint a picture as you're gathering the evidence of what she said or did do or didn't do in the eulogy and online and whatnot. It will paint a better picture of what's going on.
More of an explanation. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not necessarily going to be an admission that she did it. it can be explaining some of this surrounding behavior. Great job tonight, Dr. Lisa Palmer. Great to have you here. Ryan Brown, thank you so much. This trial is set to go in the beginning of the year unless this new wrinkle that we're talking about right here involving this neuropsychologist completely changes the case. Will it go from someone else did it to some mitigating factor that attempts to explain some of this behavior? If so, that may be a completely different trial. Of course, we'll cover it. I'm Vinny Politan. We'll keep digging for the answers.